This is Tax Pro Nation, the home of independent tax professionals. Find community, maximize your earnings, and live life on your own terms. I'm your host, Jeff Dolan, Vice President of Pronto Tax School.
And I'm your co-host, Andy Frye, founder and CEO of Pronto Tax School. My grandfather started Pronto Income Tax in Los Angeles back in 1965. My father and I carried on the family business and became tax business entrepreneurs. I launched Pronto Tax School because I know that given the right training and tools, you too can experience the freedom the tax business can offer. I grew up with a dad who wasn't working all the time, who had time to spend with his 5 children, who could take us to the beach on a Tuesday if that's what he wanted to do. The tax business can be an ideal business for people who want that kind of freedom, but it's got to be done purposefully in order to work that way.
And that's why we're here, to help you navigate your journey as an independent tax professional. Don't do it alone. Join the nation. Let's jump in. Welcome to episode 14, where we will be speaking with our guest, Chauncey Hutter Jr., about his tax career journey from one small tax office to a multi-million-dollar company across 3 states, as well as some of the lessons he teaches high-performing tax pros in his consulting business. All of the show notes for this episode can be found at taxpronation.com/14. Chauncey Hutter Jr. began working in the tax industry in 1990 in his father's 2-room, $50,000 per year tax preparation office. In just a few short years, Chauncey took his small office with a few part-time employees and built a multi-million-dollar company with 27,000 clients and over 440 employees in 15 market areas across 3 states within 10 years. Chauncey sold his ownership stake in the family business in 2007 to concentrate full-time on coaching and consulting business owners and entrepreneurs to greater levels of success. In 1996, he started Real Tax Business Success, a private success consulting business to help other tax business owners achieve their dreams in the tax business. Chauncey has worked directly with over 3,700 tax business owner clients, helping create multi-million-dollar breakthroughs along the way. So we cannot wait to share his insights with you, the listener, today. It is our pleasure to welcome Chauncey to the show. Good afternoon, Chauncey.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I can tell you one thing, the Tax Pro Nation podcast just took a huge step up, a huge step in the right direction. So I know there's a lot of different ways you can invest your time, and really happy that you're able to be here with us today. And give an idea, Jeff, of what is the topic that we're going to be discussing, because Chauncey's the type of person, as you named off some of his accomplishments, he could talk at any stage of the tax business authoritatively.
Right.
But give us an idea for this show, what the listeners should be expecting to learn about.
Yeah, so I think in this episode, because Chauncey he kind of took the journey through all the steps, let's focus on fruition today. And that's the stage of your business where you're leaving a legacy. And so in the Pronto Path, we talk about the final step, step 9, is the legacy step. So I think, Chauncey, you probably have stories at each step, and we'll definitely probably ask you about that. But looking back on your career and the journey that you've taken, definitely want to get your wisdom and insight from that angle. I think you'll be able to help a lot of folks with that. And before we get into that, when you were starting out in your dad's small office, did you even have an end goal? Did you know that you would achieve what you've achieved to date? Did you ever envision what your legacy would be one day at that point?
So I didn't think about it, legacy. I think when you're in your mid-20s, I think you're just looking to go out and, make some moves. You just want to go grow something. And so I saw what was happening in the tax industry. And, when you're got a big head and a lot of pride, I have to say I was a lot more, I thought I could literally take over the earth. That comes back to bite you later. But I just wanted to be the best tax business in the country. And I knew I couldn't be as big as the H&R Blocks because they had a 50-year head start. But we wanted to, at least whatever we did, we wanted to just be the best at what we did. And But I didn't think about that stuff early on. I was just trying to, get clients to come in the door. Early on, the first couple of tax seasons, we were just amazed at the amount of clients that were coming through the door. We definitely were not thinking about legacy or into the, big picture stuff. We were just trying to, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is working. Let's try this. Let's try this.
So Chauncey, you were, during that time when you were building up your family business, obviously you get the chance to enjoy and experience those family business dynamics, as I've gotten a chance to experience as well. Who was the team like among your family members? I know that it was originally your dad's company. Like, tell us a little bit about the family business aspect of you guys really firing up that small business and growing it so large so fast.
So the family business, it was my dad, a small practice. I didn't know how to do tax returns. And so, even backing up a little bit further, I had a guidance counselor tell me, you ought to go work for your dad. And I'm like, well, he's in the tax business. Why would I want to do that? and he's like, well, you're good at sales and marketing. He's a tax practice that's looking to grow. Just go get more clients. And I'm like, okay. And so we did that. And he tried to have me go take an H&R Block tax class. And I'm like, Dad, you do not want me to do that. But I did it just for a few weeks just to honor him. But I was driving myself crazy in there. So I just recruited all the best people that were in that tax class to come work for us. And I left.
Nice. It's a good idea.
But my skill set was better suited for beating the bushes and running marketing campaigns, doing joint venture deals with local businesses and companies and people that had, large groups of people that we could do it, have people send them our way, and things just, they snowballed. And so the dynamic with the family is, my dad's practice, we grew so fast. A lot of his old clients got upset because, they weren't getting the attention and everything that he was used to giving them, because we had, tripled the business in one tax season. And it was no turning back. We went and opened up a couple more locations, and those businesses grew pretty fast. And so it just, my brother, he was kind of part-time. He was in school, and he worked a lot during tax season to kind of help out. And so it was just you're flying by the seat of your pants in those days. You're just trying to hold on. But as we grew and it matured, you bring brother-in-law into the business, and you hire some other people, and when it matures, you do some things that that help stabilize the business. But as my dad would say, he liked the fact that he wanted to bring other family members into the business and be able to pay them. He wanted to be able to take family vacation. We took time off together as a family and went to the beach. We went on vacations during tax season. We did a lot of stuff as a family because we were able to, because we had a vibrant, growing business.
It sounds like you had a lot of self-awareness at that point. We talked about that on previous episodes.
In what way?
Where getting into the tax business, it's a very technical business if you're doing the actual work, right? A lot of numbers, a lot of spreadsheets, crunching numbers, and you have to understand yourself well enough to know whether you want to be doing the work, the craft of it, or whether you want to be on the people side doing the sales and the deals, right? And so it sounds like pretty immediately you knew that.
I could see the tax industry based on the people I was running into. Nobody was doing a good job marketing. Nobody. I didn't see anybody doing it. I'm like, well, if we can do this better than everybody else, this will be our unique selling proposition where we can just dominate. And we can just take over our city, and in a couple of years, we were able to take a lot of market share from existing practices and grow a whole new market. But it was because I don't want to say, hey, what I was doing was so great. It was just I was focused on selling and marketing, and that was my job. I didn't have hey, let's figure out the new software. Let's figure out what the new tax laws are. I didn't have any of that responsibility.
Yep.
Of my dad and my brother. So because of that, And this is, I mean, I'll recommend this to a lot of people in the tax industry just don't want to be the marketer. They just don't want to put on that hat.
Yep.
Fine, hire that person. I have people take my stuff, they're in my membership, then they just have somebody that executes for them and just implements all the different things they want to do, but they stay out of it. I mean, they oversee it, but they have somebody else doing the actual marketing work. And if you can replicate that, then that's a good strategy.
And there's so few tax offices that I think are thinking that way, right? They're not thinking, let me hire a dedicated salesperson. They're thinking, I need more tax pros, right?
Yeah, and the ones that get the fact that it's not about going to the class and understand. I mean, you got to go to the class and understand the new tax laws. Don't get me wrong, and you do have to make sure the software is right. All that stuff is just part of having a good, solid business. But if you don't have marketing and salesmanship at the top of the list as far as a priority, if you have to hire people or you're doing it, then you're really not stewarding your business well. You're just, if the norm, if everybody else in the business does what you're doing, then you're probably not going to jump out way ahead of them. Because as soon as you step out of what the norm does and do something like focus on marketing and salesmanship and having a dedicated person in your office doing that, then there's no way you're going to leapfrog ahead of everybody else. If I'm sitting here saying we want to leapfrog ahead of everybody else and be a significant player in the market areas we had to do something like that.
Yeah, and I think the results definitely speak for themselves in terms of you guys building up to over 20 locations and over $4 million during tax season. So one of my dreams, Chauncey, was always to get one of those cash machines like they have at the bank, where they, like during tax season is so fun to kind of count up what you made that day and run it through that machine or something like that. Tell us a little bit about, just to get people excited, seeing $4 million come in the door in 3 months or 4 months. That must have been actually pretty exhilarating. And probably a little bit stressful in its own way. That must have been a crazy time.
Yeah, it's definitely stressful but I'd rather be stressed for 100 days and then take the rest of the time off of the year. Take the other 250 days off. Not take them off. I mean, what I'm saying, you don't have any pressure. You don't have any. And so, I mean, it's nice. I mean, again, it's a responsibility. I mean, I've had managers, we would be so busy. Managers, they thought they were getting hired for a regular tax office. So when their line's out the door and they have to work extra and they got to come in early and something and this and whatever. And we've had plenty of managers, people just get up and leave and say, I didn't sign up for this. And so, I'm not going to sit down at the desk and start doing tax returns. And so, so we've seen it all. I mean, it's great as I can sit here and say, oh, it's so awesome to have all this money coming the door. Look, bigger paydays bring bigger problems too. I mean, and yes, I prefer having those bigger problems because I've had both. I don't have any money and I got problems, and I have a lot of money and I got problems. I like the problems where you have money.
Yeah. Yeah, if you had a choice, I think that's the better one to have, right?
Yeah.
So what's the one thing that has changed about the tax business from the time that you were running a business, tax business full time until now?
I remember when this thing called the internet came out in late 90s, and we were putting stuff online and hardly anybody was going there. I'm like, how is this a deal? I mean, how is this even going to impact our business? I mean, I was skeptical. I just didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. However, I figured, well, it'll be a big deal, but just way down the road. And sure enough, it was way down the road. And so if you look back 20 years from it, it's just, the internet and how people file their tax returns nowadays is the big growth market. It's all the online, this commoditization of the tax industry that is right now, where any Joe Blow down the street will go online and help you get something done really cheap. And that has eaten away year after year for the last 20 years. Everybody kind of scoffed at it a couple of decades ago, but it's here and it's serious. It's real. And so that's probably the biggest change.
Yeah, I think so. And it seems that even people in our industry, and let me know if you agree, it's kind of like we're still underestimating that a lot of times. And so sometimes when I'll see some of your sales pages, like for your Orlando event or some of the other things that you put out there, it seems like, Chauncey, like you're really trying to get people out of their comfort zone and not assume that, hey, everything's going to kind of work out, but actually take some actions in light of those online filing options and just overall the commoditization. Does that kind of reflect how you see it?
Sure, but let me tell you, as big of a problem for tax professionals is having all these online options, that problem is the biggest opportunity for people that have that are serious about wanting to grow their business and not doing what the industry does. I mean, going against the grain. And so this is actually one of the reasons why I'm getting back into the tax business, actually owning some practices, is because there's so many tax professionals all over the country that are sitting on nice assets of hundreds of clients per office, some in thousands of clients per office, and they're seeing it depleted and going and getting eaten away, and there's so many ways to skin a cat when it comes to growing a tax practice, and most everybody thinks, well, it's just about filing tax return, and that is like the hello. And that's the beginning. That's the beginning.
Right.
Tax professionals are sitting in the catbird seat. They've got a gold mine sitting because they are, if they understand their positioning well, and if they properly market themselves, that those clients, people coming in, these prospects, people come into their office, seeing them in a certain way as financial advisor, tax or financial or money expert. And with that, you have a lot of gateways into a lot of different possibilities. Even if you didn't want to do the work, you can partner and joint venture with other people that would love to have somebody with some money and that they trust you, and they have to do. There's other things in life besides tax preparation you do with your money. And so the tax professional, in my view, is probably sitting in one of the best seats in the country when it comes to professions and how to take advantage of the changing marketplace, the changing economy with technologies and things that are coming down the pike. But the good news is, well, there's good and bad. The bad news is most tax professionals won't do anything different, and they'll just keep doing the same old thing. And then the good news is, if you're willing to do something different, go against the grain, like I talked about what we did back in the early days. I still want to go against the grain nowadays. We go against the grain and not do what everybody else is doing. There is a huge opportunity to go get significant clients with high quality clients. You kind of will be able to pick the kind of business you want to get. And because so many of the tax professions will just throw their hands up and say, I'm out. I'm not doing this new technology. I'm not doing this new Trump tax law thing. I'm burnt. I'm tired. And that's good for people that want to swoop it up.
Are you somewhere in your tax career and feeling lost with what to do next? Do you sometimes wish you had a map to show you your next step to reach your full potential as a tax professional? Here at Pronto Tax School, we have developed that guide. We call it the Pronto Path, and we want to share it with you for free. Go to taxpronation.com/path right now. You're a pretty interesting case, because what happened with you is you sold your family business, in 2007?
Yeah, I got out of the business, and my family didn't get out of it. I just got out personally.
You personally got out?
Yeah, but they got out, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, so in kind of our Pronto Path model, that's kind of the time where you would transition it to your family, reap the fruits of your labor, kind of sail off into the sunset, do things that you really want to do in life, all of that. But you actually have come back now, and now you're getting back into the tax business as an owner, right?
Yeah, I've got a lot of coaching clients around the country, and I'm a little tired of helping them make six figures, make them help. I show them go help make them $250,000. They're paying me $15,000 for a coaching program. I'm like, something's wrong with this picture. I need to get back into doing this and not telling other people how to do it, but I just got to go do it. So I'm going to do both. I'm going to have, coaching clients that I help do what I'm doing. That'll be a part of my coaching program, but I'll also do it myself.
So Chauncey, what was your original, I know you started to say it, maybe you got out for personal reasons. What was your original kind of reasons for getting out? You just told us why you wanted to get back in, but do you have sort of any guidelines or principles on when you think you'll ever get out of the business?
I guess I'm an opportunity junkie. And when the opportunity is so strong, like it is in the tax industry, I can't say no.
Nice.
And so 10 years ago, I was like, I got other things I wanted to do. It's really had nothing to do with tax industry. But a lot has changed in the last 10, 12 years. And I've still been in the tax industry. I've still had clients over these years. I've still helped people, whether it was at a seminar or a coaching program or online training or whatever we're doing. But I've seen this trend for a number of years, and I'm like, this is just too good. This is too good, and tax professionals are not seeing it, which is normal. The tax industry historically is very slow to move and to make changes, and that's good for people that see it and want to go do it.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because last year when I had attended your Real Tax Business Summit, which in my opinion is the best small group event in the tax industry, period. This is why I went multiple times. I had a sneaking feeling. I was like, I feel like Chauncey wants to get back into doing an expansion or expanding offices. I just had this intuition that was going to be the case. I do want to touch on, though, because we're talking about this fruition stage, and we have so many listeners, Chauncey, that are, maybe a little bit more experienced in their career, and they're starting to approach that stage of thinking about selling their business. So I wonder if, for you, when you sold your original shares in 2007 and kind of moved on to doing consulting and coaching full time, what type of deal, if you have a bigger business like that, like a over $1 million type of tax business, can you share any type of details about what a deal like that even looks like? And some of our listeners might be able to sort of aim for that.
I can't speak to other industries. I can only speak to the tax industry. But my guess is it's different in other industries. But at least in the tax industry, it's not right, in my opinion. The way people, when they sell their practice, they only get $1.25. Maybe if they're strong, they get $1.50 for every gross dollar coming in the door. And I'm like, you spend your life, whether it's 10 years or 40 or 50 years,
yep,
and you're only going to get not even a 2-to-1 multiple of your earnings or of your gross dollars. I mean, to me, it's wrong. And so I think if you're trying to sell your business, it would be good to sell it to someone who can spread out longer payments and maybe get more money and have an upside to the business. Have there be some upside. Whoever buys it, you can tell they're going to grow it, and you get a little piece of that action of the growth. That to me is a better way for that person who's wanting to sell, and just spread it out and may take a lot less money up front for the stability and the upside of the growth going forward over several years instead of just all up front. That to me, and that by the way is a version of what I'm going to be doing, because I think it's better for them, but it's better for me too, because I don't have to put as much money up front. And I know when I get a hold of the business, the one that I pick, or the different kinds of ones that I'll be choosing, I know in advance what I can and can't do, because I've done this for a couple of decades. And so I'm able to, I will happily pay a little more for their practice, but spread it out over the revenues over time. And so they'll get more money, and it helps me ease into it and and be able to buy up more practices and not tie up all my cash flow.
So do you expect them to still work in the business for those years that you're transitioning, or do they?
It all depends. It's yes and no. Some people want to be in the business, and they like the H&R Blocks of the world, and the big national franchises. They require it. Maybe not every time, but in most cases, they require somebody. If it's not the owner, it's some supervisor, manager, somebody that knows the clients to be in that office for up to 2 years or 2 tax seasons to make sure those guys, as many clients come back as possible. And usually, I mean, you're getting paid on people that come back. So it goes both ways. The person that's selling wants to maximize the number of dollars they get. So they want to have somebody in there. If it's not them, having somebody that worked in that office, making sure as many people come back as possible so they get paid more. So there's good incentive on both sides, the owner, the person buying, and the person selling.
Yeah, and I think the number one thing, it was the word that jumped out at me when you're talking about being the best is building trust. I mean, at the end of the day, it all comes down to trust that you have with the client. So if there's existing person at the business that's kind of handing off and transferring that trust, or at least assisting with that process, it seems like it would be the best chance to preserve the value and also build the value under a new owner.
Yeah, definitely.
So what would you say? It's funny that you mentioned how it's almost like you were offended by some of the deals that tax people get.
I was too.
Yeah, and I was going to say Jeff was actually really upset. He almost needed to seek counseling after that because he comes from a software background, so he's like thinking all this 5 times EBITDA and all this stuff, and he was actually offended. And it sounds like you are too. What if somebody's thinking about, I want to get the best sale terms for my business, which I think a lot of people are thinking that right now. What should they do ahead of time, Chauncey, to put themselves in the best position to get the best terms?
They should have several, not 1 or 2, but as many as you can, 3, 4, 5 other revenue streams coming in year round. That's not just tax prep during this tax season. And so one of the things that I teach and preach is if you're just in the tax prep business, you're screwed. I mean, you're in trouble. You have got to have other revenue streams every month, all 12 months of the year. Now, initially, they might be small and you might have to grow them a little bit, but it's worth it in the end. So when, Joe Tax Service wants to come in and buy you up, all of a sudden you might have half of your revenue in tax preparation or tax-related services that mostly happens during tax season. And then the other half of your money comes in the other 8 months of the year through different revenue sources. That definitely changes the game on how much money you get paid when you try to sell.
And is that because you have leverage in the negotiation, or is it because it just makes it more valuable?
Well, it's more money. I mean,
yeah. So in other words, you're selling the additional revenue streams as part of the package.
Yeah.
This part of your business where you're actually adding another service other than tax preparation, which, as you know, a lot of us haven't done or have maybe tried to do and kind of half done, that kind of thing. And it seems like stabilizing your business is really a big part of getting the best value for it down the line.
Well, in some cases, I have clients that have built other businesses that are bigger than their tax business.
Right.
And so they actually now don't even consider themselves, they're 20 years in the tax business, and all of a sudden 5-10 years later down the road, everything flipped. And 25-30% of their revenue for the year is their tax prep or their tax service revenue, and the other 65-70% is.
So if you skipped episode 6, stabilization, go back and listen to that, because I think it really helps you understand the importance of those additional revenue streams.
Yeah, and that's something that honestly Chauncey's been a leader within the industry of shaking people's mindset up and pointing at people that are successfully have done that. Because the tax prep thing, it's interesting because it was always that thing, and from being the family business too, Chauncey, is that it's like, well, everybody needs to do their taxes, right? And so people kind of get comfortable in that, and they may not be wanting to do the sales and business development for a new business. And so if in terms of like specific examples of other services that have worked really well for your clients, is there any like stories or specific services, Chauncey, that if I'm hearing this, I'm a tax business owner, this is resonating with me, like where would I look first for adding another service?
Well, the easy ones that everybody does in the industry is the insurance business and any financial service businesses, anything we do with money like that have a close cousin with the tax return. So that's the easy ones, and yes, add those to your business. But other things that people don't always think about might be, I've got a number of clients that are in the college funding, college planning business. They're not doing $250 tax returns, I'll tell you that. They're doing $2,500, $5,000 sales, and you can sell and have to your existing client. I mean, you don't even have to go out, go after a new business. You can just talk to your existing people that have existing relationships. 15% of everybody's list has got kids that are going off to college, so you can just start there. Mm-hmm. And so that's an easy one, an easy business to get into. Another one, we had maybe 3 or 4 personnel service franchises inside our tax office. So we were looking to maximize some revenue in the off season. We were also looking to we had some of our best managers. We had no opportunity for them after April 15.
Right.
So we put a personnel service franchise inside our tax office and ran that from May to December. They were slow after Christmas, which is when our busy season for tax season is. And so we had a nice fitting year-round double business inside one location. And the tax business actually helped the personnel service business. And the personnel service business, as it grew, it helped generate more tax clients. And I mean, it's a beautiful thing to see those kind of things work.
Absolutely. Are you thinking about getting into the tax business, but not sure where to start? Maybe you're not even sure the tax business is the right fit for you, and you don't want to invest a lot of money or time quite yet. You just want to get a taste of tax knowledge and see if you like it. Or maybe you're an experienced tax pro and you see someone else in your world who needs an introduction to the tax business, but you don't have time to teach all the basics. If either of those situations sound familiar to you, you need to check out the Pronto Tax School Basic Income Tax course today. It's fun, entertaining, and gets you a real IRS credential. Go to taxpronation.com/basic to find out more. If I'm a member of a family-run tax business, as some of our listeners are, and yourself and Andy both were a part of those family businesses, talk through some of the dynamics of passing it over to a family member.
You mean like the next generation?
Yeah, like how,
like a son or daughter or whatever.
That's right.
That's something we're hearing, Chauncey, from our Pronto Tax School members. Is they may have a son or daughter. Or even a sister or a brother, and they want to start to transition it. But as you know, there's all kinds of dynamics there. There's personal dynamics, there's family dynamics. Like, what would you tell that person to think about as they start to try to make that transition?
Yeah, I see this all the time.
I bet.
And for whatever reason, there are a ton of family businesses inside the tax industry.
Definitely.
My guess is it's because it's an easy entry point. I mean, it doesn't take much to hang out a shingle and start doing tax returns for people. Another reason might be because it's a personal thing, personal taxes, and so your family just. I don't know the real, but I definitely think that there's an abnormally large number of family businesses in the tax industry versus other industries, and that's good, I think. But there's a yin and a yang. I've probably had a couple dozen where the dad or the mom have a real hard time letting go to son or daughter. And and so they say, yes, little Joey, I want you to run our tax practice. And little Joey says, awesome. And he gets ready to get out and run the marketing campaigns and whatever. And all of a sudden, Daddy's holding that checkbook and says, no, you can't go spend it on that. And what do you mean? You want me to run this business? I want to do it like I've got this guy that is a leader in the tax industry. He's marketing, growing all these businesses. I'm using his stuff. It's all proven, ready to go. And what do you mean I can't grow it? So I hear that a bunch. And I've heard the other side of it too, and this is really sad, where you bring in little Johnny and he's now 40 and he's been working in the business for 20 years and he can't do squat, and the parents or the mom or the dad are enabling him to just sit there and do nothing, get a paycheck. And they can't get him off his butt to do anything. And I've seen this a bunch as well, and it's really sad. And I've told them, hey, you need to let little Johnny go. You got to fire him. It's the best thing you can do for him. But you're enabling him not to be dysfunctional. This is dysfunctional for you to allow this to happen for, I can understand a little while, but not a decade or two.
Tough love right there.
Yeah. So I've seen it both ways a lot. And it is what it is. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen when my kid's old enough, and if they want to come in and work in the business, I don't know how it'll work out, good, bad, or ugly. I don't know.
But what would you do, Chauncey, if you're that business owner? And obviously, if your son or daughter is just really not a good fit and it's not going well, that might be kind of a simpler prescription, so to speak. But like if you're a business owner and you truly want to pass over your business or transition your business to a son or daughter, to a family member, is there something in your mind that you would say to start with that would be crucial to making that successful?
They would need to come in and work at the bottom and work their way up like everybody else. And if it's not a good fit, we'd find out pretty quick. We'd find out within the first tax season or two. But I would say 2 tax seasons, if there's not a love and an excitement and a passion, let's just do something different. Because of course we want our kids to come work in our business. Of course we want to pass on the family name to the next generation. But if you go look in the last couple decades, fewer and fewer of the next generation, they're just not doing it. They don't want to come work in what they perceive as a boring, not sexy type industry. They want to go work in some computer startup thing or internet thing or whatever, robots.
Right. So Chauncey, do you think that is one of the reasons that contributes to just the difficulty to scale because there are so many family businesses that are kind of stuck?
No, the reason why people don't scale is because they're scared to death. They're in fear. They can't trust. They can't imagine having somebody run their business 30 minutes down the road in another location with their name on the sign, and they open and close, take the money, and they just can't imagine having somebody else out there doing that. They can't get past it, so they don't do it. And that's the way we did it right after the first tax season. I mean, it sounds really crazy, but this is kind of how it happened. We had such a good first year that we decided, okay, we're going to go open up another location about an hour south of our city into another city. And I'm down there scouting out, and I'm scouting out like 3, 4, 5 different locations in different cities. And we decided on the one south. And I'm down there and I find a good manager, find a good location. This is, Christmas time, Thanksgiving, Christmas time, in between Christmas and Thanksgiving, so December sometime. And my brother and my dad are out skiing in Vail, and I'm the one working, trying to find a location and trying to hire the managers and I find 3 good ones. I mean, I find 3 good locations and 3 good managers to run these offices. So I'm like, I call them. They're on the ski slope. I'm like, I think we should go 3 this year, not just 1. And they're like, okay. I mean, that's the market research. Okay. and now we busted our tail, and I spent 100 hours a week driving around making sure. I mean, this is back before you could email anybody. This is back before faxes.
Oh man,
we just showed up, deliver some. It was. I mean, to do it nowadays, piece of cake. With the accountability, you can just see what's going on, come in on people's computers and see everything and watch everything, cameras, all kinds of stuff you can do nowadays.
I mean, you can literally record people's screens all day if you're really anal.
And you could put like an AI overlay on it or something to track XYZ. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's the trust that if you call somebody and they're skiing and you say, instead of doing 1, let's do 3. I think just that trust factor, whether it's between your team, between you and your clients, I mean, that is what I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chauncey, that's where you see this gold mine for tax professionals, is because of this trust that's been earned.
I think having my dad and my brother talk about the family stuff and having the dynamic of, I don't want people to hear this interview and think, oh, everything just works great. You just go for it. And you add a manager no, I've had plenty of people screw us. I've had guys that are managers, they steal our database and go open up their own location down the street. We bring the cops and the sheriff and, walking into a sheriff's office, and we show them we proved that the guy had stolen our database, and we showed it in the floppy disk where he had gotten stuff. And he's like, well, that floppy disk is worth about $1. I mean, I don't think this is a big deal. And I'm like, sir, are you kidding me?
Back then data wasn't respected.
Are you joking? I mean, we have, 600 clients' information on this little floppy disk that this guy took, and you're going to tell me it's worth $1? I mean, so I've had that kind of. We've had offices where the sewage blows up, and there's crap coming out all the floor inside the office.
Literally,
literally.
That's
the manager
worse than your fly infestation.
The manager calls me and says, "What do we ought to do?" And I'm like, "Well, go in the other room and still do tax returns."
There's only one right answer, and that's it.
And then I got a call back saying, health department said, get out immediately or they're shutting us down. I'm like, okay. Got my car and drove over there. But I went straight to the TV station and I said, I forget the headline, but it was something about IRS, filing your taxes stinks. And now it really, something. And we pro-tax, we get shut down from a sewage leak or something. And so, we got the cameras out there. We got TV cameras out there showing our building and the new place we were going the next Monday. This is on a Friday. And so we actually made more money in that office for the next 3 weeks when we transitioned up the end of the season to that new location. I'm out there putting a banner up on the street, on the above location. Cars are stopping saying, hey, I saw you on the news.
That's brilliant.
So I mean, this is a little off the subject, but the point is, you're going to have stuff that happens. Oh, well, let's go make the old adage, make lemons, you get a lemon, you make lemonade thing. And so we did that with people trying to, if you're real about growing your business, you're not trying to say, oh, we're just going to have problems growing this business, so I'm not going to expand. Well, then if that's your mentality, then you're never going to expand and never grow. So don't worry about it. Just stay in your one location and just do what you're going to do. And that's what plenty of people do. But if you're willing to take some risks, and it's not that much of a risk, at the worst case scenario, you're still going to break even and get them next year, come after the next tax season. I mean, there's a lot of good things you can do to kind of protect yourself. But if you think it's nothing bad is ever going to happen, then you're not living in the real world.
Yeah, it's definitely not all peaches and cream once you start growing, and there are those days where either literally or figuratively the sewage definitely seeps up, and you do get a certain stench. So be prepared for that if you're going to grow your business. Absolutely. I wanted to see if we could dive in for a second here too, Chauncey. Some of the numbers and the metrics that you're going to be looking at, and other buyers of tax businesses would look at as well in the process of evaluating the value of a tax business. What are the key metrics that you'll be looking at, and also that you've seen other buyers look at when purchasing a tax business?
Don't want to go buy a business that's doing cheap, inexpensive seasonal tax returns. If that's all you're looking at, then you're buying a business that is losing market share every year. You have to go look at a middle to higher income clientele, not a low income clientele. You have to have at least 20% of that list having year-round work, like small businesses, whether it's bookkeeping, accounting, payroll, other stuff you can do, but there has to be a chunk of 20-25% of that business has to be not just seasonal. And there has to be some higher income folks. And in every list, there's 10-20% or higher income that you can offer additional services and things that make sense for them to buy. And so you're looking at a multi-year relationship building thing where you're selling them multiple things that not just getting money from them, but you're helping them. You're helping them grow their money and do well with what they have. And so if people are out there just to go, there was a time when people were just going out and buying up all of these really quick, low income, easy returns, and they're buying them up and they're all seasonal. If you're buying those practices, you can still do it, but I'm paying 50 cents on gross revenues, not $1.25.
So talk for a second for people that are already in the industry about how the refund anticipation loan, Chauncey, and how that kind of was regulated out of existence. And one of my theories for this year is there's going to continue to be more financial products that come out for that lower income filer that maybe is getting a larger refund. How do you see the RAL and maybe the return of the RAL and also the disappearance of the RAL figuring into the part of the market that serves a lower income client?
That used to be, the market you're describing used to be our bread and butter. That's how we built our company. And we were 90% what you just said. And that was back in the 90s. As we got into the 2000s, and I had a boot camp, I ticked off about everybody in the room in 2006 or 7, whatever it was, where I said, if you have a portion of your business, 50% or more, tied up in bank products, refund anticipation loan type products, you need to diversify ASAP, like immediately. And sure enough, it's been a dying dog for years, deteriorating because of government regulations, a lot of stuff. But the good news is that if you're going after that group, there's always going to be a product available to service them because that group's not going away.
Yeah, because that's an actual major need.
Yeah.
People at the start of the year to get the money faster. So don't you think there will be innovative products that will come out and maybe revive it?
I do. I don't think it's going to revive it. I think the younger generation's not going to it. The younger folks are just going online. So I wouldn't put my long-term business strategy into bank product focus. I have guys that are significant players in the industry that absolutely disagree with what I just said, and it's fine. I said, for me personally, there's more money to be made year round with going after a higher end client, going after small business clients. Just more money there. And I can't say what AI, and I don't want to get into blockchain and Bitcoin and all that stuff. All that's coming and all of it's real, and it's people who poo-poo it, that's their fault. They're going to get blindsided. All that stuff is real, but it's not here yet. So bank products, I take it for what it is. It is what it is. If you want to have a piece of your business going after them, great. it's unpredictable, and they're not loyal, and you get what you get, and there's still money to be made there.
Tax pros have seen it coming for years. The entrepreneurial wave is here, and that means more opportunity to do corporation, S-Corp, and LLC business tax returns. With the new tax law, they're even more complex and in demand. Professionals who increase their skill set in this area can expect to become more profitable and successful. Pronto Tax School has the perfect online training course for you called Business Tax Verified with CPA Adam Shea. Find out more at taxpronation.com/business. How important is it to, have regular education and training for you and your staff to actually grow beyond $1 million business?
And coaching as well, what you offer. Like, how important is that, Chauncey, to being able to actually get, to a larger business level?
We did a tax school for one reason. We didn't do it because we wanted to educate everybody in our city, but that did happen if they wanted it. We did it for recruiting. We did it to get really good employees to work for us. So we had a tax school in the fall, and it was set up as an educational thing, and we educated a lot of people, but we cherry picked out the best ones to come work for us. And that was, we built a relationship with them. The local manager did that tax class, and that was good. Now, other people will say, I'll play the devil's advocate with you guys. Other people will say, hey, just sub this stuff out. I'm not saying send it over to overseas, but there are opportunities right here in the United States where you can, where small tax practices, even larger ones, are sending their business to CPAs and EAs to get the taxes done for cheap, and then look it over and then hand it to the client, because what you said, they don't have enough qualified people to do the work.
Right.
So this gets back to your education issue and bringing it. So there are definite ways to skin the cat. But if you're stuck and it's January, you don't have the right people trained, educated, and up to speed, you got to do something different.
Well, yeah. I mean, what we've noticed is as it's just gotten a lot more complex. So we used to be able to train people in a few days and have them be productive, even in their first tax season. And now it's just completely not like that at all. I mean, it's not even close to being like that. So I think that is a challenge that a lot of our members face. You've been known, Chauncey, to assist tax business owners, whether they're your clients or even just people in your network, in getting the best value for their business when it comes time to sell. And they kind of try to follow your model of what you were able to achieve in that. Can you share any stories where you've either assisted or seen a tax business owner play his or her cards right and achieve a great exit for their business?
I'll give you one example of a guy who got cancer, and he basically was told, you got X number of years, saying, can't do much with it. He worked out a deal with one of my coaching clients that he was basically, the guy gifted my client $1.3 million practice. Just when I say gifted, he didn't have to pay anything for it, but he spread out the payments for a long time so his wife get taken care of. And when he's gone. And now he's still around, but that was a good deal for both of them, because the owner, the guy that is sick, is having a mechanism in place to ensure his wife and kids are taken care of. And but also the other guy is just paying for the practice based on revenues. That worked out great for him too. He is, doing very nice.
So it's almost like he turned the business into an annuity or a retirement plan. Yeah. I've been thinking that model, I think, as long as it's trusted people involved, and which it sounds like you potentially assist other business owners to vet and make sure that it is a trusted environment. I think that model actually has a lot of potential for a lot of tax business owners and also for tax business buyers.
Absolutely.
Well, very cool. I did want to see, we could put a link to Chauncey's book, if you're good with that, Chauncey, in the show notes, which is Blockbuster: How to Build a $1 Million Tax Business. I think is the best book around for building a larger tax business. In the first chapter of that book, Chauncey, you talk about, which I think is even the first chapter just makes it worth it to read the book, let alone all the other stuff that's in there. But you talk about this idea of a starving crowd and making sure that you're really serving people that have a need and have a visceral need and so if you had to just point to one group, and obviously there's different opportunities that you see, and I know you're the type of person that you can see 100 opportunities. If you had to just point to one group of people right now in the tax industry, who is that starving crowd?
Small business owners.
Yeah, we've been saying that for a while.
Yeah, and so everything from, and that, yeah, it's just that self-employed trend. They are the ones that really need it, and you've been seeing that as well.
Well, you're going to see some big players show up in the tax industry. You're going to see a national brand or two pop up in the near future. I'm not at liberty to say anything.
Not at liberty to say anything. I'm just kidding.
But you're gonna see some things happening where it's going to be obvious that the target are small business owners. That's where the money is.
Right. Do you think it's better to sell a tax business to a major chain or an independent operator?
If the independent operator's got the money, it's better, in my opinion, to sell to an independent person that you can work a deal with, because I'm gonna want to have a lot of different nuances to the deal with some incentives and things like that. And that the big boys aren't going to do it. They pretty much have a cookie cutter thing where this is our deal. You do this, do this, do this, do this. We're going to pay you this, this, this. And it's going to go out. A non-compete lasts for this many years, blah, blah, blah. That's the deal. Take it or leave it. And they can do that because that's how they've grown. Whether it's Block, Jackson Hewitt, Liberty, if you take away their acquisition and just look at the raw numbers from the previous years of the previous offices, location to location comparison, they're all losing money, losing business, losing clients left and right. And so that's been happening for a long time.
Wait, you mean the ones that the major chains bought?
No. The major chains, all these franchises, if you don't take into account all the new ones they just bought that year, you go back and look at the previous year, the year before, and look on office by office comparison from one year to the next, company-wide around the nation, they're losing 4%, 8%, 12%.
Oh, wow.
And that's a big number when you talk about the kind of numbers we're talking about, nationwide.
That's at scale. Yeah, that's huge.
Well, yeah, especially if it's been a few years in a row of 4%.
Well, that's a decade. But
right.
See, the way that they're able to be fine is they go up and buy up independents. And so that their growth, their growth has been like this for decades, like thinking about H&R Block. But ever since, probably about 10 years ago, Block's numbers have been dropping strong, but they're still financially okay because their online business is big and their acquisition business is big.
I wonder what that says about that whole industry. I mean, that's interesting.
Well, I think one of the things that it says is that they're able to work good deals with a lot of independent tax professionals who aren't ready and haven't done some of the things that Chauncey's talking about doing to prepare themselves to actually get good value. Because when Chauncey mentions 50 cents on the dollar, I mean, there's times where bigger companies are able to acquire these businesses for even way less than that.
Oh my goodness.
At a pretty common rate. So it's one of those things that it seems like it kind of sneaks up on people. With that being said, Chauncey, I wanted to see if we could close this out with the idea of, and I know that you work directly with this type of client quite a bit. So I'm a tax business owner looking for a way to enjoy the fruits of my labor, either cash out or transition the business, just kind of go into that new phase of life. What have we not touched on during this conversation, Chauncey, that I need to know and may need to take some action on now?
If you're a business owner and you just want to get out and you want to leave, you're going to get less. You just are. And there's no guarantees. So if you say, I am ABC tax business and I want to go hang up my shoes, I want to get out of Dodge and I want to go to Florida and retire, that's fine. But if you don't want to if you don't want to have a transitional period of 1 or 2, maybe 3 tax seasons, and doing that with somebody else is taking over, you're going to get less. And the people that come in and buy you are not going to put any guarantees on it. Well, they shouldn't. If they do, they're foolish. So they're going to pay based on what comes in that next year and the year after, and sometimes the year after that. And so if you want more, then you plan accordingly to make a deal with somebody and stick around for 1, 2, or 3 tax seasons until that transition period's over. And then you hang them up and go down because you're going to get paid more. And there's incentive for both parties to do that. So it's just, sometimes, as you know, if somebody they're ready to walk, they'll take less and there's no problem.
So how many years would you say you would want to kind of prepare to get your business ready to sell?
If you're 3 years away and you know you're going to get out in 3 years or 2 years or whatever the number is, then you, in some cases, are going to don't even worry about profit. You're going to spend like a drunken sailor to get as many new clients, get as much business coming in the door, because that top line number is the number you need.
Interesting. Wow.
So you're going to spend, or acquire some other small practices right around you that are working in other houses. You're going to do whatever you can to add more dollar revenue, not profit, revenue, to your business for the next couple tax seasons. Make that number as big as you can, knowing that you're going to, now you have to do the math and say, what I normally would have gotten this much profit this year and that year. So it has to be worth it. You can do, every accounting guy can do the math. But if you're not going to sell your business in the next 2 or 3 years, I know people that are not willing to go out and spend a bunch of money acquiring practices or spend a bunch of money on marketing and new staff, extra employees, whatever, because it takes away from the profit. And they want a higher profit, and so they're comfortable where they are. So they'll just sit at, whatever the number is and get that each year, and they're good. I mean, I was on the phone earlier this morning with a guy who has a very big business, and he is at break even or a little bit better because he makes a little bit more money every year because he increases his fees, not hugely, but just, I don't know, about 10, 15% each year. He increases his fees, and his number of clients stays about the same, maybe a little less, but he's about at break even, but he makes more money every year. And he's thrilled. He's happy. He's not spending hardly any money on marketing, on sale. He's good. He's not old. He's probably got another, 20 years before he actually does something different. So, I mean, why do something different? I don't blame him.
So is that the kind of practice that you would want to buy? Like as a buyer, would you want to buy that kind of practice, or would you want to buy one like the example before where you were saying they just spend to increase top line revenue?
It doesn't matter to me because I'm paying only on revenues that come in the door in the next however many years, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, sometimes 4 years, whatever. I'm just paying on what comes in after I buy it. What happens over the next couple of years is what's important to me. The top line revenue number is just the starting line.
Right. So you're not necessarily analyzing how much profit they're making.
I know how much profit they should be making. Now, if they're not making it, that's their own fault.
Right. Gotcha.
Which could be a good opportunity.
Yeah. that's
Nice.
one of the reasons why I'm going to get into buying up some businesses. Is a lot of tax business owners are leaving a lot of profit on the table and they don't even know it.
Well, great. Well, I know that you're hosting your Real Tax Business Success Summit in Orlando this year. It's going to be pretty exciting. We're looking forward to coming, and I'm looking forward to meeting you personally. So that'll be great.
Great. Well, good talking to you guys.
Yeah. This was excellent. Thank you so much, Chauncey, for your time, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Chauncey.
All of the show notes for this episode can be found at taxpronation.com/14. We have created an infographic of the Pronto Path so you can see all of the steps in one place. Go ahead and download that at taxpronation.com/14 as well. We hope this episode made your life a little bit easier and more profitable. Join us next Monday as we talk with more of you, our listeners, and share more helpful insights and stories. Take care.